Hello, my art friends. Today I'm doing another page in my Calm journal, or I call it Calming journal. Something that Shawn Petite is doing. You can follow her if you wanted to also. It's just a very quick project, and I just find it so interesting that when I did my last video, which was the word peace, she picked patience for the next one, and it's kind of funny because I talk about needing patience in my peace video. So interesting. I guess we're all feeling the same. We need some patience, we need peace, we need all these things right now. It's a difficult time in the whole world. And she started this calm, she calls it calm journaling. I call it calming journaling. But anyway, she started this to maybe try to help people with some of the fear and, the whole thing. The uncertainness, everything that's going through all of our minds about being afraid and being in fear about this virus and what it's going to actually do or not do, and we don't have our same social outlets we normally do, and just all those things, like all of us. So anyway, I guess she and I are on the same page on this because I certainly need some patience. I've gotten awfully impatient with a few things. So we're going to start out. I laid a couple papers down. You don't have to have these exact same paints. Just some sort of you're just going to do a very light little wash thing with this. And then I'm going to actually add, I'm going to add a little more into that blue and to make a greenish color. So that'll all work out. So let's just start with the blue, and that's way too much. Let's use my bigger brush because that's just too much. Maybe we'll just pull some of that off. This is a piece of paper I found in my grandmother's 100 years ago. My grandmother was getting ready to graduate high school, and this was in her journal. That's what they used to call them, I guess, is journals instead of annuals, I think is what we call them now, or yearbooks, annual, that kind of thing. So, yeah, interesting anyway. It's kind of fun to find that the other day. Had a picture of my grandmother when she was, I suppose, 17 or 18. And a couple of her report cards, which was really, really fun for me to find. Well, let's see here. I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to put this stencil down and do this thing called reverse stenciling, I believe is what it's called, where you take a wet wipe or something like that and you go back through the stencil and it takes off some of the paint or whatever you've used. And it gives a kind of cool look. You'll see it in a second here. So, first time I've done this. Let's see how it works. Well, you can see I have some paint on there, but didn't show much up on that. Well, I'm still okay with it the way it is. So I'm kind of gonna stick this on a page down here and just let that paint go off on that page. And that'll be a little something there to start with. Maybe not much. Yeah, not much, but that's okay. A little something. All right, let's see here. So I want to put, I want to glue this little just a clock had laying around. And then I'm going to put some yellow paint on it, kind of make it look sunny, like the sun. Let's see if I can get this to work right this way. The paint's still a little wet. Yeah, that'll work, I think. So here we go for that. That's all good. Oops. I left this little area open, prayers for others, down here, because I kind of like that. And I'm going to sort of cover this up because that's personal. I don't need you to see that particularly. And let's see, next. Oh yes. I want to put these two little hydrangeas down. I didn't have all the same things Sean Petit had, but you know what? One of the fun things about this type of thing is you can use what you have. Now this is one of her papers, I guess I'll say. It's just a beautiful hydrangea project. If you love hydrangeas, which I do, you could go look at that. It's beautiful. It's a ways back, but in her videos, but it's just beautiful, and she still sells that packet. Like I said, it's very beautiful. All right, I'm just going to add a little bit of, oh, I didn't realize this yellow paint, I guess, is already watered down some. No wonder I'm getting such a funny thing here. So like I said, I want that to look a little bit like the sun. I'm just going to dab it up a little bit, and then I'm just going to go a little out past the sun with it. It's a little hard when you're starting with something. This clock was kind of gray, but that's okay. Also doesn't matter much. I think I'll put just a little bit of white if I can get it open. My goodness. Just a little bit. That's too much. All right, so let's get some of that up. I guess I need a little more yellow paint now. Oh, it's always hard to get the right mix, isn't it? But it all works out in the end, usually. Just blob some of that off. I want some of that clock to show. That works for me. When that dries a little, I might add a little tiny bit more yellow. I don't know yet. I'm just going to put a little decoupage along the bottom here and put my word down. This is about as easy as it gets, really. Just very little to do here. Oops, that's not so good. Want that to be in the right spot. Okay, there we go. I don't have a lot of space here because this is just a little traveler's notebook, or a TN they're called sometimes. And they're, I think I said they're about 4 by 8, pretty close to that. Really nice for just spending a little time doing either art or journaling, or I have one I do Bible journaling in too. So they're kind of nice that way because they don't take up a lot of space, and they're easy to take with you in your purse or an art bag or something like that, if you have that. I only had one E, so I had to, and I only had one C too, but I had another little cut up thing, so I had to kind of turn this C into an E, which isn't quite right, but it's pretty close, so I just decided to go with it, and it works good enough for me. And you know, that's the main thing, if it works for you, is to, you know, have what you like and get done what you want to get done. let's see, maybe I'll play with this a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of fun. I'll just add that in a little bit. Use a little of that yellow paint up. I got a little too much of it. And that'll just spread a little sunshine around, I guess. Darn, I just need a, let's see, I know. I will take the cap off my paint, which I do this a lot when I just need a tiny bit of paint. And I'm just going to add some little, maybe I'll water it down a little bit even and just add a little bit of, oh, not much, just a little lightness. Yeah. I'm also going to add, normally you wouldn't want to have watered paint for this. I'm going to try to make a little flowery looking field here. I probably shouldn't have watered that paint for that. Let's see, I have a little bit of red. This red paint is really dried up. But I can get a little bit, I think. Oh, it's just terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. But probably will work to add in some little red dots around my little tiny hydrangea here. So we'll just get the feel of a little bit of a flowery field, maybe one of nature's wildflower fields, you know. That's kind of fun. Let's see here. I don't want it to look too symmetrical or anything. Well, maybe I'll add a little yellow, because there would probably be a little yellow, right? Normally I think there would be some yellow. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Oh, that's really watered. Got this other yellow that's not watered. Whenever I'm almost out of the paint I'm using, I water it down and I use it for washes. I don't know if you do that. Here's another way to do this. You don't have to use the tip of your brush. You can use the back side of your paintbrush. It's a little easier to control the size of the dot if that's something you want to do. And sometimes you do want to do that for lots of reasons. So, yeah, it's just another idea. You could use a toothpick. Oh, there's probably all kinds of things you could use. Well, I kind of like that. I feel like it needs another color, but let's see. I don't know that I have another color out, other than I do have my crazy blue. I guess maybe that would work. Let's see here. See if I can just get a tiny bit of that without getting it everywhere. Because this stuff is, it's very pigmented and it's very vivid. I love this color. It's one of my favorites. I use it a lot, but that's working pretty well. Other than this is so thick, because this one's almost out, but that's okay. I guess if it's a little blobby. Here's the thing to do if you start getting this where it's too blobby, you just wipe it off and start again with your no paint on it, and that way you get back to a nice little round dot type thing, which is what we're going for here. So it works out pretty well. Let's see here. I got kind of, all right, well, I don't know. You probably could go on and on forever. You know, it's one of those things. Where do you stop? Well, that's kind of it for this one. Not much to it. Very simplistic. And like I said, it could go on and on. Now once this dries, let's see, this is pretty dry. I might be able to do this. I'm gonna do my same old Skippy wiggly line thing. I might just do the wiggly line on this because I had to cut these. Well, we'll do both. I had to cut these so small to get them to fit in here. They barely have room to be on their little own piece of paper. I don't know if that made sense. They're so small that there's hardly any paper around the letter. I guess that maybe would be more accurate. But you know, you just do what you do. And even if you have to stack them up, you can still make some definition of where it begins and where it ends. And it all works out pretty well. At least in this kind of art. It doesn't have, as I always say, not perfect. Play with it, have fun with it, enjoy it, and don't worry. Certainly don't worry. So you can see that's coming together okay. And there's not quite room for 2 lines on some of them, but that's okay too. They could be not cut apart and be on the same piece of paper for all anyone knows, and it doesn't matter. It's what you want it to be. So just do whatever comes to your mind when you're playing with this a little bit. And it will all be good. Whether it looks like mine or not doesn't really matter. It's whether you like it. And I'm going to do a little bit of a square box around this, prayers for others. Lots of prayers going out to everybody, of course. This time, we all need each other, don't we? It's an interesting time. I'm going to do a very sketchy type line along here, and I might even try to just add in a little bit. And even around the little petals here, I'm not going to do all of them, but I'm going to do some of them, and I'm going to do a sketchy thing and cover up the little white line I left next to it. I usually, oh, that's too wet there. I usually do leave a little tiny white line because I usually go over it with Sharpie, so I don't mind that. And that way I feel like I can decide where I want the actual flower petal, let's say on this one, to end or not end. Because otherwise, if you cut it right on the edge, you kind of, when you go over it with this Sharpie, you kind of take away some of it. So that's your decision to make on this type of thing. You get all kinds of decisions in this kind of art. That's what's fun. You could take these exact same pieces and lay them down in a different way, and you could have a whole different looking thing. And it would be great. So that's another lesson to learn from these mixed media. It will look different if you do it different, but that's the only thing that changes. And really, once you have the paper, you know, you can copy it again and play with it again. So it's not even a big deal if it doesn't work out. That's why I usually like to work in my altered book. I have an altered book of the month club that we do art in. And if someone wants to do a canvas, they can do a canvas or a board that I like to use as cement board, or whatever they might have if they have some particular thing they want to use. And then if you really like it, you know, you can do it again. Let's say you just do it in the book, and if you really like it, you can do it again on a canvas or on a board or whatever too. So there's so many options. So I just love it because there just isn't any worry about it. It all works out every time it works out. And you just have fun and you just play with it. Well, that's it for me. If you like this, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Give me a thumbs up and give me a comment and tell me where you're from and tell me what kind of art you like or what you make and what you're interested in. And if I can help out, I will. this isn't dry enough. You can see what happens when it's not dry enough, and then it just eats your pen. Can you see that? It's not good to do. I'm going to have to wait a little bit on that. I could maybe, I have these Sharpie paint markers. Now they're a little different. So maybe for the sun to give it a little, oh, even that it doesn't like to do it. It just kind of eating it. But, well, anyway, that worked out all right. When it's dry, I might add a few more dots in of the white and go around with the black Sharpie some more, and I'll write my thoughts. Thank you again. Hope you're well. Take care of yourselves. Bye.